Hello, Monique Shaw here, and welcome to part one of my four-part series, Rewrite Your Career Story. This video series is based on my group coaching program of the same name, which is an 8-week program launching on the 1st of September. Part one is the Life Audit. The Life Audit is all about taking stock of where you are right now, what's going on for you, what the point is that you're at in this very moment, and where you might like to be, and how we can close the gap between those 2 points. Now, I don't believe that you can write a new career story without having a really good understanding of what's going on for you right now, without auditing your current life and your current story. I also don't believe that you can write a new career story that is really fulfilling and enriching without considering aspects outside of work, so family, home, love life, other relationships, creativity, health, well-being, etc. So we go through all of those different things in this part. Before we begin though, I just wanted to talk really briefly about who I am and what qualifies me to be writing this program in the first place and why I did it. So on a practical level, I'm a coach, I'm a writer, and I'm a marketer. And the things that I've done for the businesses that I've worked for and the people that I've worked with throughout my career have all really come down to helping them to write compelling stories to convey to the world, whether that be in advertising campaigns, pitch presentations, and more recently as a coach, helping people to unpick the stories that they tell themselves and to write new ones. On a personal level though, when it came to my career, what I had always managed to do really effectively was accelerate. I know how to climb the corporate ladder. I know how to get noticed. I know how to get promoted. I know how to network. I know how to influence without authority. I know how to communicate. I understand the power of personal brand. I know how to build lasting relationships. Those are the things that helped me to accelerate my career. Being great at what you do is expected when you work in fantastic organizations. That's not the only thing that's going to get you promoted. It's all of the other things that help you to get promoted. So I knew how to be successful. I understood that. But that didn't fulfill me entirely. What took me a little bit longer was helping to develop boundaries, learning to say no, and learning to be really effective with my time. So that took me, as I say, a little longer. I learned how to do that about 3 years ago when I returned to work after having my first child. And I needed to reduce the amount of time that I was spending at work without reducing my impact. I wrote an article about this actually that you might want to check out. It's called How I Halved My Working Hours Without Changing My Impact. I don't think that's the exact title, but it's on my website. You will be able to find it. And really what I did was I got rid of all of those things like passive email checking, wasting time, understanding when my peak period was and protecting that time, learning my non-negotiables and holding on to those. And so I was able to create more balance. And I know work-life balance is a bit of a buzzword that makes people cringe, but I really did create a life that balanced work and balanced life outside of work. I created that harmony. A little while later though, I wanted to take that a step further, which is why I left my big corporate job and started my new business, Rewrite, because what I was doing before just didn't feel good anymore. And I've spoken about that quite a bit, but you can make changes in your work and feel fulfilled. And then a couple of years down the track, you need to make more changes. So a lot of the stuff that I cover in this program is stuff that you can revisit time and time again. So you might make some changes that you want to then come back and tweak and redo and refresh and rewrite over and over and over again. So I do hope that you'll find lots of tools throughout this video series that will help you to do that. Okay, so part one, the Life Audit. Now, the Life Audit has 3 modules on the program. Module 1 is what led you here. And that's a number of journaling exercises that really get to the heart of who you are, what's going on for you right now, what energizes you, what motivates you, so on and so forth. Module 2 is the Life Pie, and that's my adaptation of a very well-known and much-loved coaching tool called the Wheel of Life. But it's Module 3 that I want to go through with you today, and that's the Values Assessment. The reason that I want to focus on the values assessment is for two reasons. One is because values are fundamental to who we are. We all have them, and they drive our behaviors and influence our decision making and can really make or break how we feel about certain situations and certainly how we feel about work. I've also found this to be the most transformational exercise that I do with my clients. This is the one that they keep coming back to time and time again. So the exercise that we're going to do, I'm going to do it in a couple of minutes, but actually for a lot of my clients, going through this exercise can take weeks or even the 2 months of the program. So do take this information down and give yourself the space and permission to return to it and keep thinking about it in the days and weeks that follow. Okay, so values. Why are they so important? As I say, they drive our behaviours and they're fundamental to who we are. But you'll often find that in situations at work and outside of work as well, if you're feeling really compromised or really demotivated, often it's because there's a misalignment with your values. So I've certainly experienced that myself, and I'm sure if you can reflect on some instances that have happened for you in the last few weeks or months where you've really felt frustrated or irritated, compromised, there's probably a misalignment there with your values. So the starting point is to identify your values, and then we're going to assess them. So identifying your values, you're going to have to get a values list. Now, if you go onto your internet browser and enter values list, you'll find a range of different resources, I'm sure, for free. You can also download the values exercise from my website, www.rewriterewrite.com/resources. And the values list that I use is based on a resource that was provided to me when I trained as a coach. I trained through Animas Centre for Coaching, and I've adapted that slightly based on some of the values that have come up with clients that I've worked with. But essentially, you want to get a really long list of values, at least 50 on there, and then you want to start to circle the ones that really speak to you. So aim to circle about 15. And then strike out the ones that are least important. So you've got 10 left. And then reflect on those for a little bit longer and strike out another 5. And you should be left with 5 core values. Now, that's an arbitrary number. It may be that you want to hold on to 6. It may be that you can get rid of a couple more and you're left with 3 or 4. That's absolutely fine. But you're aiming to have, roughly 4, 5, 6, 7 core values. Okay, they're the things that are really fundamental to who you are and what makes you tick and what drives your decision making, your happiness, your behaviors, etc. Now reflect on those values and then grab your notebook and one by one for each of the values, ask yourself, how is this value being met for me right now? How is this value being challenged for me right now? Is this value being compromised? Is this value being met outside of work in my personal life? What are some of the things that I could do to ensure that there was greater alignment with this value at work and at home? Why haven't I made these changes before, and what might I need to do differently now? Go through each of the values and just ask yourself, are they being met? Are they not being met? Why are they being challenged? And what changes will you need to make? And start to get a picture of how they're being met at work, but also outside of work. It's really important to understand that your career doesn't necessarily have to meet every single one of your value needs. So for example, you might have creativity as one of your values. Your job might not be particularly creative, but you are an oil painter on the side and you spend your evenings and weekends painting, and that really meets that value need. That's cool. It may also be that for you, you really need your work to be creative, and so you find ways to make your job, which might not look creative on the surface, but makes it a little bit more creative for you. Only you know how you need your values to be met in the workplace. But when you start to understand when they are or aren't being met, it gives you some really interesting information, particularly when it comes to circumstances and situations at work. So I've got a client who was in a meeting with one of her clients, and the individual was demonstrating some behaviors that were really out of alignment with this person's values. It was really causing a reaction to her initially, but she realized what was going on, and that helped her to be objective and calm. It helped her to not react. And it was really useful information for her because she realized in that moment that this was not a client that she would seek to work with again on a future project. But it really helped her to keep her head clear and cool and calm, and was really useful information. It helped her to gather more data. So use your understanding of your values to really reflect on some of the things that might be going on for you right now at work and also at home. And now I want you to, just for a moment, close your eyes and imagine what life would look like if all of your values were being met, if you were living truly in alignment with your values. What does that look like, and what does that feel like? Who are you with? What's your environment? Really get a clear picture in your mind. And then open your eyes and jot down some notes in your notebook. What changes might I need to make in order to get closer to that vision that I had just now? What changes might I need to make to increase my alignment with all of my values and create a life where I'm working much more in harmony with all of my values, both at work and outside of work as well? Okay, so that's it for this video. Do allow yourself to reflect on this exercise, to revisit your values, to think things through a little bit more deeply. You may find that your values list needs to be revisited time and time again, and that's absolutely fine. But use this as an opportunity to really get under the skin of what might be going on for you right now, and why some of those projects aren't exciting for you anymore, or some of those people in the office are really challenging for you. I look forward to seeing you again for video 2, the brand review, on the 10th of August. Have a great rest of the week.